In Star Trek Strange New World, what is the registry number of the USS Enterprise? I mean, without missing a beat, NCC 1701. And
Wow.
Strange New World, also the headline title of this year's conference, Scaling New Heights. Why that title, sir?
That's correct. That's no accident. I actually was, inspired with that. We have a triple nod to Star Trek. The third nod, which is Strange New World, also part of Kirk's monologue in the classic series, but also the name of the new television show, which is the prequel to Kirk when Pike is captaining NCC 01.
Nerd alert.
Oh, no!
Yeah, nerd alert. But it's just a nod. I don't want you to think if you don't like Star Trek, you don't need to show up. It's just a nod to Star Trek.
Let me ask you something. You down with MCP? Yeah, you know me. And so is Double. Yes, Double has just released their new MCP, or Model Context Protocol, which for nerds, that's how you connect your favorite AI bot to your platform of Double to be able to triage and instantly transform your experience with your client portal into the most revolutionary task management system. Want summaries of client workflows, open task, team performance? You are limited by your own imagination right inside your Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, or Copilot. So head on over to doublehq.com, give them a try, because this new MCP is going to change the way you run your firm. And better yet, don't use MCPs? Great! They just rolled out Ask Double, your own chatbot with Inside Double to execute tasks, perform work, and make your life simpler. doublehq.com and tell them the guys at UnAccountable sent you. Welcome to UnAccountable, the world's okayest accounting game show podcast for product news, updates, and education. I am your eager expert of a host, Tyler Otto, and I'm joined by the Stoked Steward, Jeremy Van Groll. Hello to you, sir.
Hello to you as well. I think we wait. We don't tell people why we're so excited and eager and stoked. Let's wait.
I mean, we could tease it because, it's coming soon.
It's coming soon.
In minutes.
Great guest today. Oh.
I know. We outkicked our coverage, and then sponsors wanted to come in hard and fast when they knew who our guest was today. So yeah,
suckers.
Thank you, thank you, Uncle.
Yeah, we love you guys. All right, let's get into talking through some things in the news.
Yeah.
First of all, UFAT, not me, UFAT.
Yep.
That looked like it went pretty awesome. And this is how prepared we are. Tyler tells me 3 weeks ago, hey, I'm going to start this Friday every other week trivia thing live and scheduled for then. And I could not be there last Friday, but looked like it was a decent crowd. Things went well.
Yeah. So for those, that don't pay attention to us, which is everyone in the world, UFAT, UnAccountable's fortnightly accounting trivia, went live last Friday, where you can join in and play along from your phone. It's our brand of questions and answers, half accounting knowledge, half tomfoolery, and our sponsor, Double, giving away swag, shipping it off to the winner. What do we have? 26 people register to play for version 1.
Yeah.
Went really well. Great feedback. And I don't know, man, I'm excited to keep doing this. It's more engagement. And it's finish your weekend off or finish your work week and go into the weekend with some accounting shenanigans and fun. It was really good to do what you and I do, but actually interact with people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can imagine. And if I'm not mistaken, we actually did this smart enough that it's when you're listening to this, it will be tomorrow when it happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be. So UnAccountable will drop on a Thursday, the podcast, and then UFAT will be the following day. But for those of you who don't know, Jeremy and I record the podcast a week early, so it also keeps it sustainable for us. Sorry, Jeremy.
Was that intentional or is that a happy accident, Tyler? They just happened to fall into that one.
You and I have always talked about keeping this podcast sustainable. And I was like, well, every other week feels right. So we're just going to roll with it. And, we've got sponsors lined up for the first 6 months, so we'll see how this goes and if we decide to keep doing it.
Also, I have a much different and vulgar full words of that acronym, but I don't think our sponsor would like that, so we're just going to leave that right there.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
And then we're going to keep her moving. Big news out of the big green sometimes Blue Monster. I'm sure you saw this. Intuit is sunsetting their ProAdvisor program and replacing it next year with, drumroll, ProPartner accountants, which kind of sounds like ProAdvisor went to like a leadership retreat, bought a quarter zip, came back saying we think we're like a firm level stuff now. I don't know, man.
Did you read this article? This puff piece?
I didn't read it. I didn't read the propaganda that Intuit put out. I read other things published on this, so I'd love to hear their take on this.
So here's the thing. It is very kind to the Death Star because you don't want to get in their sights, right? So you always just present it the way that Intuit wants the spin on this. But, they advertise this as we're getting rid of the old program and we're putting a new one in place where you're going to be able to do all the things you used to be able to, but now firm owners can get up to 25% net earnings revenue share of their clients for up to 12 months to 3 years. Jeremy, what's our current discount to our clients?
Isn't it 30%?
It is 30%. And if it's firm billed, it's indefinite. Now they're killing that program and saying, guess what, guys? We're going to give you 25%.
Ooh.
If you get up to a certain tier, and it's now up to 3 years if you're worthy. So, I mean, not only raising prices, but taking more and more of our commissions for bringing clients onto their platforms. I can't wait for the day that there's someone else we can get behind that has a decent product. Because, I mean, they're packaging up that they're taking away a lot of our benefits, giving it a new fancy title. But I didn't see anything in this release that has me excited for what it means to the firm.
No, and do we have to like take our ProAdvisor badges off our websites now, or?
We're going to get new ones.
Oh.
Now they're going to be ProPartner badges. So now you can display your ProAdvisor badge, ironically. It's like, your rock jacket that has old bands that are no longer in existence. Yeah, we're going to wear our ProAdvisor badges. But they said, fear not. All the internal ProAdvisor trainings for you to learn how to sell their softwares, those will still be free for us. So fear not. They're going to take away our commissions, but they'll still give us their propaganda for free.
Yeah, and anyone who's taken those, it's so much propaganda for that training even. It's not like training you how to use the software. It's like, here's our newest shiny thing, and make sure you know how to do that. So, interesting.
So releasing later this year, but I mean, it's same thing, different name, less benefits.
Yeah, womp womp.
Jeremy, one other update, because when this airs, it's the week before Scaling New Heights, which... Okay, like 2 more seconds, we'll talk why we're stoked and eager. But for both our listeners that'll be there, come find us. Jeremy and I will be roaming around. We'll have UnAccountable swag, t-shirts, stickers, whatever else. Show us that you're subscribed to our podcast, whether it's on Spotify, YouTube, your FM radio, Walkman. I don't know how you'd show us, but hey, if you've got it, we got shirts for y'all. Some of our best puns ready to put out there. Would love for you to come play with us, as well as come play our session on the main stage on Monday. It's going to be epic.
Oh yeah, it's going to be epic. And so we're not just throwing this together. A lot of prep is going into it, and our panelists are just on, right? Like we had one call already, and all of them are like, this is so great. This is going to hit, and it's going to be nothing like you've seen before. You will never have gone to been like, yeah, that was just like this other thing. Totally different, totally on brand. Going to be fun.
Yeah, so thank you, Woodard and Scaling New Heights. And speaking of Woodard, Jeremy, we are at that moment where we get to invite back to the show the eponymous owner and founder of Woodard, the sultan of the greatest conference that the accounting industry has to offer. What I argue is the best party Orlando has seen. The one, the only, Joe Woodard. Welcome back.
Well, it's great to be here, Tyler. Great to be here, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I have to ask you, you weren't scared off from last time? You weren't like, hey, I turn on my do not disturb, my autoresponder to those guys, my block senders? Like, what?
Yeah, my PR department twisted my arm a little bit. And I have to admit, I wasn't quite honest just a minute ago when I said it's great to be here. It's turns out. But, well... We'll see how this goes. I'll tell you that at the end. No, all joking aside, this has been great. It was the most fun I had the last time I was on the podcast ever, and looking forward to whatever blows you want to take this time.
Well, your PR team guaranteed us a half hour, so we're going to just drag you through the mud as long as we can and make you regret your life decisions. But we get to do that by, the game, Fast Figures. And you don't need an introduction, so let's jump right into the theme music. Oh, wrong music. Damn it, Ian. Sorry. Joe, welcome to the show.
Hippopotamus.
Welcome to Fast Figures. 10 questions, 1 minute-ish. All answers are numbers. The game starts now.
1 minute on the clock. Here we go. In Star Trek's Strange New World, what is the registry number of the USS Enterprise?
NCC 1701.
In his book, A World Without Work, Daniel Susskind discusses how many main drivers of technological process.
4.
What is arguably one of the greatest coin-operated inventions ever, how many balls are typically dispensed in a standard game of pinball?
2.
If I take my wife, who is also my business partner, to dinner and discuss the business, the meal is deductible at what? 0, 50, or 100%?
0.
On a standard treasure map, the destination is often represented by a Greek number which has what numerical value?
Numerical value. Greek number, numerical value. Thought you said letter. I don't know, Pat.
Well, what's the letter? I'm going to lead you to this one. So what's the Greek value?
You mean the Roman value would be 10. I don't know.
Did I have that wrong?
I didn't know it was chi. You're probably smarter than we are. That's
Chi is an X in Greek.
Yeah, see, you were right on.
About a number that's Roman numeral 10.
All right, we'll just keep rolling. If a golfer were to get the virtually impossible perfect score at the Masters golf tournament, which consists of 4 rounds of golf, what would that legendary score be?
200 and... I'm trying to do the math in my head. 96. I think it's 92. Anyway, go ahead.
A fun one. What is the ideal number of the letter O in a last name?
I would say 2.
In Greek mythology, when one of Hydra's heads is cut off, how many grow back?
7.
Are you sure it's not Roman mythology? Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
I don't know anymore.
I think it's actually 2 heads grow back for every one. Sorry, go ahead.
What is the official product name of Microsoft's suite of cloud-based productivity tools and services? It's a number.
The number? 365.
How many audio speakers do you need to get stereo sound?
2.
Well done, Joe. Despite the fact that I don't know my difference between Greek and... Oh my gosh. Okay, again, we write these the night before. My bad. All right, Joe, let's debrief. And I love leading off with a Star Trek question.
Yes. It's a lot like Star Trek, The Next Generation. In many ways, it's superior, but will never be as recognized as the original.
Because in Star Trek Strange New World, what is the registry number of the USS Enterprise? I mean, without missing a beat, NCC 1701. And
Wow.
Strange New World, also the headline title of this year's conference, Scaling New Heights.
That's correct. That's no accident. I actually was, inspired with that. We have a triple nod to Star Trek. We have Boldly Go, which was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Captain Kirk's famous monologue. Then you have Make It So.
Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so. Make it so.
Make it so.
Make it so.
Captain Picard's famous command line from The Next Generation, which is NC01-D or E, depending on whether it was the television shows or the movies. And then you've got, now the third nod, which is Strange New World, also part of Kirk's monologue in the classic series.
To explore strange new worlds.
But also the name of the new television show, which is the prequel to Kirk when Pike is captaining NCC-01.
Nerd alert.
All right. Yeah, nerd alert.
I'm
But it's
impressed.
just a nod. I don't want you to think if you don't like Star Trek, you don't need to show up. It's just a nod to Star Trek.
But why this title and how does it apply to the accounting industry right now?
Now, this is where it's relevant. Beyond the nod to Star Trek, it's a strange new world, right? And there are two primary drivers of strange. They're kind of connected to. It's all roads lead back to artificial intelligence. But what's happening is artificial intelligence is drastically changing the technological landscape, the nature of work, and it is also at the headwaters of what's happening with mergers and acquisitions. In 2020, not one CPA firm on planet Earth had accepted PE dollars, and now it's over 50% of the top 100. Those PE dollars are going into market aggregation, massive amounts of mergers and acquisitions. PE is making the big bet that if they acquire here at this point of the technological journey, then grow through artificial intelligence into extreme profits and scale disproportionate to headcount, especially CPA headcount, then they will be able to flip these assets at extreme yield or appreciation whenever the time comes. So this is the big bet. This is why billions of dollars are being poured into the space. And it's making our world feel very strange. Now, we're not addressing this at Scaling New Heights. We're addressing M&A, PE, artificial intelligence, but there is something else making the world strange that we decided to not address. It's too polarizing, but that's political change. Rapid political swings between last administration and this administration. The existence of them creates a pendulum swing. And but we thought better just leave that to the the news broadcasters.
Yeah, and I think both that's the right call on that one, but like that makes so much sense. I have never, and like I am nowhere near a top 100 firm, but I have never had more PE people just banging on the door, calling the phone, 7 emails a day. And I was like, wow, but that makes a lot of sense how they could make this a large value equation for them right now.
Yeah. And they're investing in tech on one side of the fence. They're investing in market aggregation on the other side. It's a PE flanking maneuver in order to transform the profession, really. And what you're going to have, and we're going to address this on Tuesday, that's when Dan Hood from Accounting Today is going to lead a panel that includes the head of mergers and acquisitions for a top 20 firm, Citron Cooperman, as well as someone who was recently acquired as a small practice. And then we have somebody in the mid-range on that as well. No one is more researched on this topic than Accounting Today. And so Dan's going to come share their research, and then he's going to interview this panel. And right after the panel is over, we're going to basically say you got two things that you must do if you're going to navigate the strange new world. And that is prepare to sell, increase your valuation ahead of exit and grab the money flying around in the room, or stay fiercely independent. But fiercely is the key word. You can't stay just independent. You have to have a plan. You have to build a system. You have to be able to endure the headwind of this thing. So it's fiercely independent or increased valuation ahead of sale. But that's just Tuesday. That's not even talking about artificial intelligence yet, not directly.
Jeremy, just one question in, and he's already like, I'm aware he's too smart to be on this podcast. What were we doing, man?
Yeah.
All right. Question 2. In his book, A World Without Work, Daniel Susskind discusses how many main drivers of technological process. You guessed 4. It's 3 according to what we got, AI, data and computing power. Yes. But regardless, Daniel, one of your headline speakers at Scaling New Heights, and dare I say also the reason I have trouble sleeping at night. Why Daniel, and what are you excited for him bringing to the stage with? Explain Daniel to those that don't know.
Daniel's a return rock star to the stage. He came in 2018 after he had published his book called The Future of the Professions. Our theme that year was Tame the Machines. Now, just put yourselves back into 2018. There's no GPT. Artificial intelligence is a concept. Intuit hasn't even declared their big bet for the decade yet, where they're going to say this is the age of AI. They made that declaration in 2019 going into their 2020 fiscal year. Nobody had even talked about this being the decade of AI inside of our profession. And yet, Daniel Susskind predicted everything that is happening right now in the year 2015. He and his father, Richard Susskind, have been researching this for almost all of Daniel's life and the majority of his father, Richard's professional life. Richard Susskind was writing works on artificial intelligence in the 1980s when it was in its infancy, and now has been continuing research through this current era. They're both published multiple times on the topic. But Daniel's most recent book, and I should add also that Daniel is an Oxford professor, an economist. He doesn't come at this from any position other than follow the facts. Very professorial, right? That's what you're going to get on Sunday. So just understand he's going to speak with the British accent. He might even wear a jacket with the patches on the sleeve. I don't know. He's going to come to us straight from England, and he is going to share his research. His research from his book, A World Without Work, indicates that work will significantly change in the next 10 to 15 years, meaning significant decreases in the work that professional service providers do today. And he's not going to leave us hopeless. He's going to say there's a response. I'll let him tell you what the response is. But to ignore it is not a response. You have to understand what's happening. You have to understand how to separate the hype from the reality. And you have to understand how fast the reality is going to come. If you think you're going to be in this business 10 years from now and not deal with this, even 5 years from now and not deal with this, you've got your head in the sand.
I'm incredibly excited too. He's got a book coming out later this year called What Should My Children Do? A Human's Guide to the Age of AI. And after his book, A World Without Work, and talking about like the shortages there will be for paying work versus right now there's a shortage of labor, I can't wait to read that book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's on my list, absolutely. And I'm reading his father's right now, How I'd Respond to AI, which was actually written just last year, so it's more current than A World Without Work, and it cites his son's research, but takes his own direction. I would just follow the Suskins through this. They're going to be the Pied Pipers getting you, through the whole process.
Amazing. Question 3, Joe. In what is arguably one of the greatest coin-operated inventions ever, how many balls are typically dispensed in a standard game of pinball?
Can I clarify though? I think there's a loaded question.
Yeah, hit me.
Because you didn't delineate if it was simultaneous or sequential. So I thought, well, a lot of those pinball machines, they let you have 2 at a time. And then it occurred to me, you meant sequential, in which case it would be 3.
I'm going to say you pointed out my incompetence as a game show writer. Regardless, we're giving you the point.
I'm an accountant at heart, so I'm going to nitpick it down to the penny.
Please do. You lawyered your way into a correct point. But I think back to the arcades, and it cost me a token to play. Then they upped the prices to 2, 3, to a point where I could not afford the tokens to play anymore. And now we're in this world of AI, and we start seeing the tokens coming due. And the tokens are starting to get more and more. Is there a world coming up, Joe, where what once was a free, nice little amenity is now going to get to a point where we can't afford to play anymore?
Yeah, I just got a bill from Anthropic this morning for $175 for the last 24 hours worth of work. So yes, it's not free anymore. The challenge is going to be, how do we spend that money wisely? And I would encourage everyone listening on this call to base that value off of the outcomes that are driven by your spend. So the bill I got for $175 from Anthropic would have taken a human being 40 hours to produce that level of work. That's pretty easy math to say. That's a cheap, laborer. But if you think of it as a software solution, I just paid $175 for 24-hour subscription to Anthropic. You're going to use the wrong baseline, and you're going to avoid technology that otherwise could be transformative for your practice.
Are there any concerns you have? And this is not a question I wrote in here, but like the first rule of dealing drugs, Joe, is you give them a hit of the good stuff, get them addicted, and then eventually, once they're hooked, then you hit them with the bill. I mean, there's kind of a fear that everyone has free AI tools right now revolutioning us. Let's decrease our staff. Let's get heavily dependent, and now they can up those prices.
Absolutely, that's the plan. The question is, knowing that that's the plan, is it still going to be a cheaper laborer than human labor? And what I can tell you is just laws of economics. It'd be actually a great question to ask Dr. Susskind. He could probably cite all the economic principles behind it, but knowing what I know of economics, they can't ever exceed some single-digit percentage of what a human would cost you, and then there's going to be competitive forces that will help to regulate that as well. So we're going to be fine. We're going to be able to produce work at a much more economic rate than we ever did, even if we end up spending $50,000, $60,000 a year on AI. It's going to be cheaper than the 2 or 3 people we were able to either let go or where we were able to grow disproportionately to headcount. So I just keep coming back to salary displacement, cost displacement. You've got to look at the right measurement. I mean, I can foresee a day in about a year from now when I'm paying Anthropic $150,000 a year and I'm not blinking because I'm saving $400,000 on salaries.
What's the Star Trek related theme of the Daily New Heights 27 to be?
Strange New World, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
A Microsoft study just came out to drill down on this, where and I need to get that study out to you to put in your listener guide. Everybody here should read it ahead of coming to scaling. If you're coming, read it or not. And it predicts that there will be a key management ratio everyone will use in the next 5 years, beginning the next 5 years. And that is the ratio of human to bot workers. And they're going to call it that, human to bot worker ratio. So if somebody's reporting up channel and they're going to say, okay, this is what we accomplished in the last quarter, then they're going to follow up with, and that was done with a 60 to 40% human to bot ratio. Every metric's going to have that on it.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because now they're going to use that in order to get cost to produce and figure out how they got net gains on that productivity.
All right. Well, we'll keep it moving because I want to get to some of these later questions. If I take my wife, who is also my business partner, to dinner and discuss business, the meal is how deductible, 0, 50, or 100. I also, looking at my own questions, you could have been right at 0. So I'm not actually going to say wrong because normally it would be 50. But to pass an IRS audit, I would need backup and proof of meeting minutes and notes. And I didn't clarify that. So, you know.
You didn't take minute meetings and notes. So I know you didn't clarify that. But also, it varies if I'm traveling with that wife or if I'm not traveling with wife and so forth. Yeah, so there are all these things. But
fair enough.
You know what I
just wanted to get some accounting
there. Correct me on that because what I missed in your question is that my spouse is my business partner. So that was on me. Go ahead and go to earn.
We'll go Dutch. We'll go 50%, right? We'll split the bill.
Okay.
I actually reviewed these questions beforehand, and I thought, like, you did a really good job, Tyler. And then you get in front of a Joe Woodard mind, and you're like, no.
I know, but I'm going to give you guys that one because I missed the question. The answer is not 0 given the question. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
You're 2 weeks out from scaling new heights, and if you're anything like the firms we talk to, you've got a list of sessions you want to hit and questions you want answered. Gusto's Power Breakfast, inside the AI-powered firm on June 15th, is built for one of the biggest questions. What does actually building with AI inside a firm look like? And what does it change about the economics, the team, the client conversations? They're bringing together 3 people who have a real vantage point on that question. Ian Vason, Chief Customer Officer at Carbon, Peter Lazama, Head of Sales at Gusto, who sees what's happening across thousands of accounting firm partners, and Tyler Otto, that goon who's done the actual work of building AI into his practice and is there to be honest about what that really looked like. It's not a keynote, it's not a sponsor session, it's an hour of real conversation before the conference floor opens. And if this podcast is part of how you think about where the profession is going, this is the room to be in on June 15th. Registered at woodard.com/scalingnewheights2026, link in show notes. So, on a standard treasure map, the destination is often represented by a Roman numeral, which has which numerical value?
I have a classical Greek major, and I'm like, there's no way that number shows up on a map. All right, keep going.
I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express once, so we have our own credentials.
Oh, right.
You, after correcting me, got to 10, which is correct. But also, the value in having a map that can lead you to where you're trying to go versus roughing it through the wilderness on your own. And it seems often that's the point of getting involved with Woodard and your team of coaches. What has that done for firm owners who have a guide that can help them in their journey of where they're trying to go?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And the answer is we deploy it around a 7-fold model. So it depends on who they are as to which one of these they strengthen in their practice. In some cases, it's all 7. But what they strengthen in their practice is their brand, their service structure, their clients, their teams, their engagements, their processes, and their technology. One or the other of those is going to be advanced as a result of engaging us. Now, to drill down on services particularly, that has a lot of legs to it. We have a services expansion program that just lives under that one ideal alone. And we upskill CAS practice owners and their teams on financial planning and analysis, that's FP&A services, as well as on controllership services, which we define as managerial governance, regulatory compliance, and risk mitigation. So that's a mouthful, but that's what we do over here.
I'm really excited because we have a close friend that just engaged with you guys last year when we were there, and neither of us are smart enough to have done that yet. But I've heard from a friend, and I haven't been able to connect with her yet, that just has been an amazing experience. So I cannot wait to connect with her in a couple weeks and just hear all of the amazing value you guys are creating.
No, and thank you for that. And I always love to hear those echo backs because that's our vision, mission, and purpose. We want to empower these advisors. We love to hear the stories. And what I'll tell you, like anything else in life, it works when you work it. You know, I'm not exactly the buffest guy in the world, but I don't blame the gym. The gym's not the problem. You know, I'm the problem. So we do have people that like join any coaching program. And what I do is I find a lot of people hop between coaching programs because that one didn't work, that one didn't work, that one didn't work. Okay, well, at some point you got to look back in the mirror here. So not being too hard on the listeners, but it's whichever coaching program you join, and there's some great ones out there. Just be prepared to work out when you get there.
All right.
Yeah.
And shameless plug moment for you, but like if both our listeners want to inquire as like how to get started with Woodard, what do you want me to do?
I'm sorry, that joke, I didn't hear the rest of it because of your joke about both of your listeners. So give me the question again. You distracted me.
If both of them want to start with a Woodard coach and get into the program, start working out, where should they go? What should they do?
The thing is to go to woodard.com, mylastname.com. You'll see a prominent option there for membership, and that will be at the beginning of your journey. Click there. There's a prominent button to set a free meeting with a practice expert, and the journey begins.
Love it. On to the next one. If a golfer were to get the virtually impossible perfect score at the Masters Golf Tournament, which consists of 4 rounds of golf, what would their legendary score be? You said 294, which I think you were doing smarter math than I came up with. I'm just thinking a hole-in-one on every of the 72 holes.
You can't do a hole-in-one on a par 5. That's impossible.
You can't. That's why it's virtually impossible.
Didn't you? Yes,
I did.
You did say impossibly
Again,
perfect. Okay.
I know.
You're right.
But regardless, yes, that would be an impressively amazing low score to get the highest finish ever. But that's easy to say since we know the rules of golf. Have you ever had a low moment that seemed like one of the lowest that ultimately ended up leading to the highs of your career you're experiencing today?
Yes. So I have 2. I have one in my life and one in my career. So I'm going to just take a second here and answer both quickly. In Elevate magazine, produced by Anchor, they actually covered this story. If you want to go out and get that, maybe you can put it in your listener guide. They can get the full version. In my life, the biggest downturn was the season when my wife and I were not able to have our own child. Had several miscarriages. It was traumatizing my wife. We thought that was going to be the end of our family journey, except the husband and wife go out, build careers, and dual income, no kids kind of thing, until we had this amazing opportunity that fell literally out of the air just to adopt. And so I'll let you kind of go get that story from Elevate magazine and get all the details of that. We named our daughter Grace, the Greek word for grace, Charis, because she was given to us as something we did not deserve. And I mean, we woke up that morning not even knowing she was alive, existed on this planet, and we went to bed that night her parents. So if that story interests you, go out to the listener guide and they'll have links to that out there. This is transparency moment. A lot of your listeners will not know this happened, but there's no reason to not talk about it. You asked, I'm going to answer. And authenticity and transparency is what we do.
Unless you're saying coming on the Unaccountable podcast.
Exactly. The Unaccountable podcast. In 2018, I hit an issue, a $4.5 million contractual downturn on one of my largest clients when I was only a $7 million company. And I hit the operating capital wall. I had to file for a Chapter 11, could not restructure my capital fast enough. It was an extremely public experience. Some of you or some of your clients may have had to go through a Chapter 11. The only thing they experience is their own internal pain. when your last name is Woodard and you have the second largest accounting technology conference in the country, Accounting Today runs headlines about such things, which I respect them for doing, by the way. They remain my good friends. It's just that's what they do. So I was all over the headlines. I was in Atlanta business journals. It was very public. It was very embarrassing, but that was the biggest downturn of my life. What caused me now to make that the biggest gain is I am now so much more experienced as a manager, so much more diligent and prudent in how I manage. We have tighter budgets, tighter purchasing controls, and the most important thing is no one client controls more than 10% of my annual revenues. At this point, as I'm talking to you, my largest client is 8% of my annual revenues. Never again will I give one contract that kind of power. So I'm a better manager and a better business leader for it. But you know what else I am? I'm also much more humble than I was in 2018. And humility is something only life can teach you.
And we don't think about concentration risk near enough, right? Like
No,
we
we don't.
a lot of being in nonprofits, a lot of our clients get audits, so we get a little bit of that. And unless they're getting large donations from a single donor, we don't see it often. But that's a big risk that's out there.
Huge risk. Yeah.
Few more questions for you, Joe. What is the ideal number of letter O's to have in your last name? Yeah, you're correct. It's 2. Sorry, Jeremy. Sucks to
Rule
be you.
number 1, always ingratiate the host. Yes.
In the question notes, I just wrote that's crap. I'm just going to put that.
I could have said 0 and I guess ingratiate myself to Jeremy, but anyway.
Yeah, but that's not even Jeremy. He's at 1. So,
O's?
you would have.
In our last,
Yep.
That's right. I guess so.
Do have a single O.
But anyway, I had to say 2 because it helped me out too.
Yeah.
We're doing good here, Joe. All right, 3 more questions for you. In Greek or Roman mythology, when one of Hydra's head is cut off, how many grow back?
And I corrected myself on that too, because can I have my corrected answer, not my original answer?
What was the corrected answer? Because I think I missed it.
Yeah, so every head is 2 grow back.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Yes, it is 2.
Hydra has 7 heads to begin with, and that's why I said 7. So it has.
Yes, but correct. 2 grow back. And I actually, not going to lie, I thought the answer was 3 before I confirmed my answers. But regardless, I wanted to talk about multipliers because just like Hydra, it seems like a beast for us to figure out how we should multiply our revenue compared to our costs. And we often struggle as accountants of what should that multiplier be? What should our margins be? And what should we be charging on our labor, on our costs?
Yeah. So I've got some math that'll help everybody out here. There are 2 different numbers you have to run. You have to run them together. If you miss either one of them, most people miss one or the other, then you don't have the equation. All right. So it's 32 clients per million. That's a CAS metric, by the way. That's not a tax metric. 32 clients per million. So that's $2,500 average client advisory services client per month. You might have some at 1,000, might have some at 700 or whatever. You have some at 4,000 or 5,000. Some of your listeners are going, that blew their mind because they're like living in the sub 1,000 range on all their clients. But it comes down to who your clients are. A client that's doing $1 million in revenues, paying $2,500 a month or $30,000 a year to have all of their back office handled. That's a steal, right? You get to a client that's doing 300, 400,000 in revenues, you're not going to be able to get that kind of average. So it starts with changing the client. You change the client, then you change the services, you can get to 32 clients per million. Now, the other one is $250,000 per full-time equivalent. Some people say that's producers only. Some people will infuse administrative into that. If you infuse administrative, you won't get to 250. So it's all about changing the upbound number. But this is the cool place of where we live right now, this intersection of AI. If you look at both those numbers and you look at how AI is going to intersect the profession, you can get to 25 clients per million. You could get to 20 clients per million because AI is a value driver. It's not just an efficiency driver. So now I'm able to do financial planning and analysis, and I'm able to manage, say, for example, sales tax nexus in real time because artificial intelligence infused into solutions like XAMPP and Kintsugi are processing nexus in real time, which means now I can be a SALT practice when it was cost prohibitive to have that kind of a research engine to be a SALT practice, state and local taxes practice before. So my revenues increase per client, 25 clients per million, 20 clients per million, but simultaneously, my revenue per professional goes up because artificial intelligence is doing so much of the actual manual workload. So now I can get about 300, 350, 400,000 per FTE while I'm getting 20 clients per million. This is why we cannot ignore artificial intelligence. And this is, by the way, how you keep reducing Hydra's heads. If Hydra's heads represent cost, as I understood from your metaphor, this is how you cut off all the heads. Well, most of the heads.
Yeah. I like it.
Hydra probably still needs one head, or it's
You still got to have some costs.
Well, 2 more questions for you, Joe, because I want to make sure we respect your time. What is the official product name of Microsoft's suite of cloud-based productivity tools and services? You correctly said M365, Microsoft every day of the year. And I bring them up because they're coming to your conference. Like, we're used to going to conferences and seeing all the players in the accounting space, but what is Microsoft doing in our turf?
Just to kind of put this in perspective, when you look at Microsoft's market capitalization, you measure that with a T.
right.
you look at Intuit's market capitalization, especially now, and it's under 100 billion. I mean, so we see Intuit as the giant in our space.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, if you look at Microsoft in terms of corporate size, not in terms of accounting portfolio, they're actually much more neck to neck on the accounting tech side, Dynamics and Intuit, QuickBooks platforms. But we're talking just this multi-trillion-dollar company. And I had been trying to get them to come to Scaling Heights. We're going into our 18th year, and I've been trying to get them to come for about 15 of those 18 years. I even created these back channels. I got these appointments. I flew all the way to Redmond for a 15-minute appointment in Redmond, Washington, and I had 15 minutes to make my pitch. Could not get these folks to move. And then all of a sudden, about 2 months ago, I get this phone call from Microsoft, and my team put it through. They thought it was a sales call, somebody trying to sell me Office. And it was an executive at Microsoft who runs their Copilot and Dynamics fusion, because that's really what this is all about. And they said, we'd like to sponsor Scaling Heights. Do you have any booths big enough for us left? And it just so happened I have one of the biggies left. So in they came. Now, from the time they said yes till the time I could go public was about 90 days to get to the procurement process. But yeah, they jumped right in. Now, the reason they're doing this is because of artificial intelligence, yet another driver. We all know Microsoft's big on the AI play, right? They own Copilot. They have about a 25% interest in OpenAI. They made a $6 billion strategic investment in Anthropic. They are covering the board. The only thing they don't have a stake in that's a major player that I know about is Gemini, because that's their head-to-head competitor, right? Google. So they're driving AI on planet Earth, Microsoft is. And they're flying in a senior executive from their Copilot group from Europe, who's going to be doing our keynote presentation on Monday, talking about how Copilot and how Microsoft are defining the AI future of the world. And then that's going to be coupled with how they're then going to pair that with their Dynamics product line, which again has revenues equal to QuickBooks globally. This is a very large segment of the accountants community represented, and they're going to be AI enabling or have AI enabled Dynamics with their Copilot product. So they're in the AI game.
I feel like the beginning of that journey was a lot like the beginning of our journey trying to get on main stage at Scaling. We were trying any back channel that we could. And then one day Heather calls and we're like, hey, this is fantastic.
It's too funny.
Well, that leads perfectly into my last question of how many speakers do you need to get stereo sound? You are correct. You just need 2, the right and the left channel, to get stereo. But I actually wanted to ask about conference speakers because first of all,
that's the wrong question. You need to ask how many I have in my living room. And
I need to know.
I don't need that level of envy.
I have 9 speakers in my living room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead.
All right, party at your house after Scaling. Got it. All right. But the question I wanted to ask about conference speakers, because, I mean, first of all, so much goes into curating the speaker list at a conference. I can only imagine. I mean, 4-part question, hit what you want and leave out what you don't. But talk to me about how you go about picking speakers. How difficult is it? how can any of our listeners like get into it, or how did you let two goons sneak through the process onto your main stage? Like any of it.
Yeah, well, like you guys learned, bribes help. Right. But no, joking aside, we have a couple of different pathways we take. One is to go through agents. We have a primary agency we use. They worked with us for the last 10 years and they know exactly what our show's about. We cast our vision for our theme to them. They go scouting through their ranks and they find people that fit the theme. So many times the tail wags the dogs when it comes to accounting shows. You get somebody who's really well known. And by the way, if I had the budget, I'm not dissing my peers. If I had $100,000, or actually some of these folks, there are $250,000 to throw at a 1 hour keynote, I'd do it too. All right. I don't have that kind of budget, but I'm almost glad that I don't, because it would tempt me to let the tail wag the dog. You know, I appreciate Michael Phelps' athleticism, best swimmer in the history of the human race. And if you have him come present a keynote at a finance or accounting show, what's he got to say, right? So it's really important that you go for what they know and what they message and what they're expert in, more so than who knows their name. So we like to say that we are the show with the best speakers no one's ever heard of. You know, that's our brand. And it means that I can spend half the money on 4 speakers that other shows spend on 1 speaker. I just don't get the marketing from it because they're not Oprah or Ryan Reynolds or whoever it is, right? Now, so we do go through agencies and there's a rigorous process. And we don't ever engage a speaker until we have read their book, our books. We have to understand everything that they have to say. Now, when it comes outside of the main stage, that's our breakout presentations. And for those, we receive hundreds of submissions. This last year was about 480, I think Heather said. And we had to pare that down to around 50 or 60. That is not fun. But what I can tell you is we do it with extreme diligence. We have 6 different people, all of them former practice owners or current coaches and consultants, that screen those, and we all independently rate them. And then we come back and we aggregate our responses, and then we pare down from there. And this is another key thing. We hide, the system will veil who the speaker is. We go solely on the merits of the topic, the learning objectives, and the description. Then after we've done that initial pare down, we get to see the presenters. Because if not, you have another tail wagging another dog. Yeah, that's how
Jeremy, that's how we slip through.
That is how you slip through. You just answered your question, because then the name popped up and I winced a little bit and I'm like, well, our process is our process. So.
I was trying to decide if your first comment was a backhanded compliment that the best people that no one's ever heard of. And I was like, yeah, it's perfect.
From the agency side, yeah, it's what it is.
Well, Joe, we're so excited. Thank you for letting us at your show, because for those that didn't catch it, Monday afternoon, main stage, we're playing UnAccountable. Joe, one of these years, maybe you have us back and we'd love to get you as a contestant, but thank you for slummering it, for coming on the show.
I can't wait for you guys to do that show on our main stage. It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. Well, Joe, 8.5 out of 10, because we went Dutch on that 1 point. Excellent work. Dare I argue, I think that might be an all-time high score. I don't think we've ever had a 9, Jeremy.
I don't think we've had a 9 either, yeah.
So I think you are top of the leaderboard with that half point. Well done, sir. Before we release you from your contractual obligation so you can go yell at your PR team, anything else you want either of the listeners to know?
No, just do follow us out there for free at woodard.com. We do have a formal media arm, and it's completely free and it's ad free. So go out there and enjoy distraction-free reading on all that's going on in the profession. And of course, we do have our own podcast. You can find that at woodardreport.com as well.
And lastly, Joe, this podcast is airing on June 4th. If anyone still wants to find a way to Orlando.
Yep. ScalingNewHeights.com is the name of the show. Woodard.com is my last name. Either one will get you there.
All right. Look forward to seeing you at the show, sir. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
See you next time.
Oh, no, that was premature. Okay. I know it's halftime, but did you hear what he just said?
Yeah.
He said, see you next time. That sounds like a verbal contract that we're getting Joe for the 3P. Yeah, we should post that one all over socials. Holy smokes, dude. What?
Yeah.
He's too smart to hang out with us.
Oh, so smart. God. Like his just take on the metrics for the business. First of all, it just made me feel even worse about myself. But other than that, like just smart, and that whole PE and why just seem to be getting rammed with these requests lately. Like that is like, if you, nothing else to take away from that is like, don't settle for a low PE sellout if you're doing it, because they're going to make bank.
Yeah. No, I'm so excited for this conference, all the main stage stuff, and you and I will have to talk about what do we do with our firms, because I want to grow mine, but I don't know. All right, Jeremy, sorry, I interrupted halftime. What do we got today?
We got Missive. So Missive, if you're not aware of this, something that we're actually putting in place. So I think I got on a train for a tool before Tyler did. Oh,
Wow.
Blue moon. But it's a centralized email management system. And what has been good, and we're just putting this in place now, so we're figuring out a lot of things, but it integrates directly or sits on top of Gmail, and it brings everything in based on the rules and the connections that you make to one central inbox and one central email address for a client, right? So when we are taking on a new client, because I'm sure specialized accounting needs some help with their nonprofit accounting, they would be npbk.sa@nonprofitbookkeeping.com or something, right? It's just a nice short thing. So then once you get an email and you send it out to there, it gets into shared box where you can then assign it out to each person. We're having our bookkeeper level manage that and get their account managers or above that needed if necessary and assign it to them. But also it's got, first of all, metrics, right? So you can see how quickly these emails are responded to, because one of our largest hammering points is, because we're a responsive relationship driven firm, is that we respond the next business day at least, right? So we'll be able to hold people accountable for that. Now, when somebody has an emergency, we're not trying to like, hey, can I get into their email, please, through the IT world, because everything's going to one central inbox. It's been good so far, and we're still figuring it out, like I said. But yeah, thoughts initially.
I mean, I'm intrigued because, like, this is one thing that, I'm a double fanboy, and they rolled out email, and it's good. But man, I want to be able to triage better. Like, I really want a good triage module. And we've made it work because it's better than just living out of, Gmail or Outlook.
Right.
But it could be better. And so, I hear of people using apps like this, and I'm not going to lie, dude, I get a little bit of FOMO. Yeah. First thing you said was it sits on top of Gmail. I am looking. It also works for the Microsoft family. So I just want to make sure for people with FOMO. But I mean, initial thoughts, like, is it revolutionizing your customer experience or your staff experience? Like, are you saving time and money to justify the cost, or are you up-leveling the customer experience to justify the costs?
I mean, still early, but I feel like the first one, if we're saving time, is going to be yes, but minor. My goal is to customer experience, is that things will not get missed. Coverage will always be there. We also have an integration that if an email isn't responded to in 48 hours, there's a notification that goes to Slack. So we know immediately, like all the management knows that hasn't been addressed. So that's cool. It's not cheap though. So like the starter version is $14 per user per month. So it's not the smallest. Build yearly, right? And then the next one is at 24, which is what we need, because I want to see those metrics, because I'm going to build that into our goals, is that, hey, how soon are you responding to this? Because that is one of the pillars of our firm, is that we are going to be responsive and be that guy. The other thing that I really like is that internally you have an option to start a instant messaging on the email. So if you like want to say something to somebody else in that team, like, oh, hey, I saw this, I'm working on it now. Or you could tag someone saying, hey, Jeremy, do you know something about this grant or something like that, that you don't have to put that in the email with the client. You are just internally having that monologue, and it's tied right to the email. So you can kind of like, or like, hey, there's 4 things on this. I did number 1 and 2. Can you do 3 and 4? So I feel like that's going to be a cool thing to have out there too.
Man, I really would love a practice management system that had this built in, but also with text messages too. Because like we have the internal conversations on Quo, formerly OpenPhone, and I love it. We can have back channel talks about a certain message. Man, if you could also integrate that with email and your tasks. This looks so cool though, dude. Like, I feel like we need to put it on the agenda in 2 months. You bring this one back up, and like I want to hear the feedback of how this has changed your operations.
Please give me more than 2 months.
No, you should have an answer by then. Well, so the URL missiveapp.com. I mean, pricing's right up there so you can see it, and I mean a pretty robust feature list when you look at it.
Yeah, agreed. Winner of the week, because we are so fantastic at self-promotion, I'm going to call our UFAT winner. So you have the keys to the kingdom when it comes to UFAT. Who was our winner that got first place this time?
So, oh man, this was fun because UFAT, the first ever UnAccountable's Fortnightly Accounting Trivia, Karen Decker was our first winner. And Jeremy, it was close. So the way that the game works is the faster you respond, the more points you get. So second place was 6,074 points. Okay. We're in the 6,000s.
Yeah.
Second place lost by 2 points.
Oh, no.
6,074, 6,076. That is a millisecond on one answer.
Well, I'm sorry, runner-up, whoever you were. That sucks. That's
Millie R.
Oh, Millie.
Yeah.
Hey,
Millie, you did great.
Yeah. All right, then go loser of the week. This is something I found in a couple different places, but the IRS unapplied cash received. So I'm having the loser be unidentified U.S. taxpayer. They had about $3.2 billion between 2022 and 2024 that they couldn't immediately identify. Then they were able to apply about 70% of that, and then had another round and got more. But there's still about $218 million of this that is unresolved. And this is maybe my favorite part. It then goes to their hardcore payment tracer program where they go and dig in deeper to figure out who this is from. So if you are paying the IRS, and we know that the mandate came through that you can only pay them electronically now, you need to make sure you're tying it to your social security number, your EIN, whatever. Don't be part of this $218 million because you're going to get letters and they're not going to be able to find it and all sorts of nonsense.
I don't think the federal is that bad. I've had some states where clients issued payments and it didn't get tied out. And I call them like, hey, that came in 6 months ago. And they're like, oh, cool. You're right. We applied it, but you still owe the penalties and interest since, it's accrued since. I'm like, no, you had the money the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but it wasn't applied. So you owe penalties and interest. Hopefully the federal isn't that jerky. Friggin' Florida.
Oof. Yeah. Florida's rough.
I feel like one day we should just have an unofficial rate the state tax agencies moment. Because Tennessee, every time I call, oh, hun, I got you. Let me walk you through this. Oh, you're going to click here. Is there anything else? Can I send you some homemade cookies? Like, they are wonderful. Utah, they're pretty good. Colorado, a little stingy, but friggin' Florida, man. Ugh.
Yeah. I feel like we do not have time to do a decent enough analysis of this, but I would love to put that in ChatGPT or Claude and be like, please rate the state tax filing agencies or collection agencies and why. And we could just run through it. And I'm gonna make that game.
Never mind. We're putting it on the socials too. Guys, go to UnAccountable. By the time it comes out, there will be a poll. We're going to figure out who the worst state agencies are and also who the best. Because friggin' Tennessee, I love you guys. You're amazing.
I'm pretty sure I don't want to move to Florida anyway, but we're going to get blacklisted from the top 5.
Oh, we absolutely are. But Jeremy, we are out of time, so time to make like a tire and roll out. See you next week, man.
Oh, wait, stop.
No.
Stop the music.
What?
Can we just get the roll out song instead of our normal stuff? Just be like, roll out. Dun, dun, dun,
Ian.
dun, dun, dun.
Look at you. You built your firm into a one-person empire, but now you're stuck trying to figure out how to scale to those next employees, add new services like advisory, tax prep, tax strategy, or really just level up your systems. Well, look no further than the Firm Foundation. Yes, we've taken everything we've learned in our 4 years building a 7-figure firm and bottled it up for you to replicate and put in place right away. Head over to thefirm.foundation and use the code UNAccountable for your special discount. We'll see you there.